Hello and welcome to another On The Road podcast. This is the podcast that we broadcast not just over iTunes and Spotify and all of the places where you get your podcasts from, but also on YouTube every Friday at 6 o'clock in the evening. We're talking about all the things we've been up to in the last few days, what we've seen, what we've learnt. I reveal the top 5 videos that are featured on MTDCNC this week in our Week in Review. We also talk about the other news that's featured on the channel. We will be discussing a buy now, pay later scheme from Ward High Tech on today's show, which is going to excite some engineers and purchasers out there. We've also been out and about. In fact, I think it's only me, Gio and Colin, and of course I'm joined by these guys again today that have actually been out and about this week. I've had a good visit to FANUC. I know Colin's been at Monard, and Gio's been doing something with an Aston Martin, which I'm sure he'll give us more details on. So today, I am joined. I have 2 libertines with me today, which is my word for the week. Colin and Gio. How you doing? Are you all right, Colin?
Well, I was all right, but I want to just double check. What is a libertine? Isn't that a biscuit?
Do you know what a libertine is?
No, I'm glad Colin does it now as well.
So don't be offended, will you? But a libertine is a person, especially a man, who freely indulges in sensual pleasures without regard to moral principles.
That's definitely Colin.
You know, I'm doing that tonight. Well, after this podcast, I'll go straight out to that. But you're saying that today we are joined by...
Of which I'm sure we'll discuss at some point in there. What is that then, Colin? What is that? There you go.
There you go, a skater boy.
Making reference to the fact that I'm now a proud skateboard owner and also had an accident as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about throughout the show. We're going to be talking about those subjects that I mentioned. Also, interesting this week that the A-levels and GCSE results have come out, haven't they, for the students, which has been good.
Yeah.
God, I think I'd have got 3 A stars if I was a student.
Well, we saw
now.
you hanging around at the school.
That's a different story, Paul. 200 yards off safe distance.
Is that what you were there for? What results did you get?
Positive.
On a serious note, what did you get at school in your qualifications, GCSE-wise?
Oh, blimey, I think I got 4 Bs, 4 Cs.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So, did you take 9? Because I took 9.
Well, that was 8.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember. I can't remember.
Did you really get 4 Bs and 4 Cs?
4 Bs and the rest Cs.
So what did you get the Bs in?
English, both Englishes.
Right.
Italian?
Italian, I did, yeah.
C?
I did actually, yeah. In
No,
Italian.
you did school.
Yeah. Well, no, I did it out of school actually. I'd done that, the Italian out of school. Maths. So yeah.
What about you, Paul?
Sciences were my downfall. I wasn't very good at science.
So, I'm not that I'm suggesting you didn't, but that's a good to get 8. What was above the O-level standard there? Well, the O-level used to be C, didn't it? So to get 8 GCSEs, that would normally, most people would lead on to do A-levels and stuff like that. Would show you've got an academic.
I didn't. To be honest, I never tried at school. I would never. It
What,
was
you got
only.
8
Yeah,
above
it was only the last.
Good
It
to
was
see you
only. It's
continue
only
that
just.
then,
It's just. It was just about when I had to do my exams that I actually because there was only certain subjects that I actually liked at school.
What would they be?
I liked design. Loved design. I loved
I've
sports.
seen some of the dresses you've made.
But the rest of the subjects didn't really interest me, and I found it hard to kind of take in. But yeah, it was all right.
So what did you get at school?
This is leading up to a bad joke, isn't it,
No.
Paul?
What did you get at school?
I reckon.
Look, we're not playing poker.
It was a long time
I
ago.
got 4 A's, 4 B's and a C.
Wow.
Did you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done,
So,
Colin.
what did you get A's in?
Maths, physics, art, and I can't remember the other one. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago when I was 16.
So you got all 9 sort of O levels or however it was. Was it O level or GCSE in your day?
In my day, God, it was O levels. But the only one I didn't get was French. French all rubbish, always have been.
Well, I got 4. I got 4. I got 2. I got 2 C's and 2 B's. I got a B in maths, a B in design, and then I got 2 C's in English. I went on to do an A level in English as well, which I passed. Well, the interesting thing was in the exam they said, what I want you to do is write an essay on courage. No, they seriously did. So I just put at the top, "This is courage," and left it blank. And I got a D
Don't believe
minus.
it. You only got 4 O levels.
Yeah, 4 O levels.
No.
Yeah, I thought, well, that I wasn't an academic person, if I can say it correctly, and still not. Hence the reason I went and did an apprenticeship, which was the right thing for me. But I've got to say, I thought
Not for the company you work for. It's all the scrap.
I did honestly. I've got to say, well done, guys, for getting such good grades at school. That was.
You thought we were a lot thicker than that.
All right, let's get started. Gio, tell me about this Aston Martin story then. What was happening there?
Yeah, brilliant visit, really. So we went to a Curie Bertelli, and these were pre-war Aston Martins that were being restored and raced. So we went there on behalf of Haas Automation UK.
I was going to say, pre-war Aston Martins must be. I know you're probably going to come to the value. People are racing these. What happens if they have a bit of a crash?
Well, these were some of the questions I was asking. I was assuming that they'd be kind of museum bound, if you like, because there's only about 400 of them approximately in the world that they know about. But yeah, some of these cars have actually won Grand Prix, Le Mans, and they're still being raced today. They're being, so the insurance on these cars apparently is excellent. Very cheap to insure, which again really surprised me.
How would that be? Surely the value's huge.
The value is millions. Well, some of them are millions, go into millions. And there was a guy there that come on the day to come and buy one for £850,000, and that was cheap. But
couldn't afford the insurance.
but the insurance is really, really cheap, because they say, well, if you did steal one, what would you do with it? If you took it to a track, they'd know the exact car. And so the insurance.
But what if you crashed it to repair it? Surely that's where insurance comes in. I mean,
yeah, don't know.
But so what were they doing? What do they do then? Are they're making these or just refurbishing?
No, so they're refurbishing them. So there's obviously parts that wear after they race. They've got all of the original drawings that date back to 1931. So this Bertelli was an Italian, may I add, that took over the Aston Martin business at the time and started designing and manufacturing the cars, took on the business racing the cars. And now that what they're doing is that they're making parts to refurbish the cars.
So what would you be talking like? I don't know, brake discs,
literally everything, Paul.
All of that
literally,
sort of
yeah,
stuff.
and they're making it. Well, obviously, they're making it now with the Haas CNC. Yeah. So they've made the transition from manual machinery to CNC machinery, because they used to make things in the traditional manner up until only 18 months ago. But now they're doing that to get that extra repeatability and accuracy. But they're still working to the same drawings as there were in 1931. However, the only thing that they change is maybe materials to give it kind of more strength, sort of, lightweight.
Did you get in the cars? Did you?
I didn't.
Have you seen Gio's driver? They wouldn't let him near it.
Yeah.
What about our friend Carver? I bet he loved filming that one.
He absolutely, yeah. He absolutely.
And where are they?
So they are in Milton Keynes area, Olney. I think it's Olney, Milton Keynes area.
That's literally a stone's throw from near where I live.
Brilliant, and the guys that own it, just fantastic. I mean, they've got some contacts in the motorsport industry, and some of the stories and characters that he was telling me that used to race these cars. Because you can imagine, even back in the day, the people that owned these cars had a lot of money, and these people were like princes of countries, or and they'd be racing them, and they'd be getting up to all shenanigans, and there's some real good stories. And
so, what will we see on the videos then that you produced?
I think the main. There's two really main points to the video. One was to kind of give Curie Bertelli more exposure, because there's a lot more people that need to know about this company, because a lot of people are unaware, even Aston Martin enthusiasts themselves, that the cars dated back to pre-war. So we want to kind of raise exposure of this company, and we want people to maybe go and visit and do a bit of due diligence on this company. But also, a big point is the synergy between two big brands, Aston Martin and Haas, and how these two big brands have got together, and how they're now using a Haas machine tool to make the transition from making things in a traditional manner to now putting them onto a CNC machine tool. And this goes for all subcontractors, because there are still a lot of companies that are still making things on conventional machines. So how do you make the transition from conventional to CNC? But then once you've made that transition, do you outgrow the product that you've purchased, or do you grow with that product range? And this is another big point.
It's an incredible story. I mean, what machines did they actually get from Haas? Are we talking more of their tool room style?
It's the tool room production mill at the minute, but due to the success of this already, they're looking to buy more. So lathes and more mills. One machine, but it's been a massive success. So what it's given this particular company is repeatability, accuracy. And the some of the big stories is they've got very skilled people that work at Bertelli. However, they'd not used CNC machine tools before. So we kind of wanted to really investigate how difficult was it to make the transition from manual to CNC. And in this scenario, it was very easy. Literally, Haas supported them all the way. It pretty much instantaneously picked up the programming language. And they're making parts on the CNC now, overnight, and it's a nice story.
Was James there? James and Matt.
James and Matt.
Matt Chedgy came along.
Yeah,
he
Matt
must have had a long journey from Norwich.
He did.
Is he a car enthusiast?
I think Matt. I think it was even if you weren't a car enthusiast, I think it was hard not to be impressed because there's so many good stories there. And I like the stories about some of the characters back in the day that owned these cars.
Give us a little snippet.
Just kind of, I can't. Some of the stuff I can't say because it would kind of be dropping people in it. But some really, really good stories. Really good.
Just write the names on a piece of paper. I can read it. I won't read them out.
Those videos will be coming to our channel soon, and in fact, coming up as well in this podcast, we're going to be doing the week in review where we tell you all of the top videos that have appeared on MTDCNC this week and the latest news. Next up, I just wanted to talk about FANUC. I was there on Monday having a meeting about the open house that we've got coming up on the 1st to the 5th of November. And it's amazing how quick that's going to come around. If you think we're almost going to be in September, in fact, the next time I sit here is probably going to be in September, which is only going to be 6 to 8 weeks away from what I believe will be the biggest event that's been held in the UK, certainly since... for the last 18 months.
5 days, is it?
It's a full 5 days. The Monday and the Friday are kind of like the theme is all about automation. It's about automation, UK industry, and not necessarily just metal cutting, but every area that can embrace automation to improve productivity and take what Tom would always say about automation to take the UK towards some of our competitors overseas.
Paul, I can remember. Sorry to interrupt, but I can remember we did something at FANUC years ago now, where there was a similar message, and we were looking at kind of the adoption of automation in the UK at that time. How have FANUC seen the growth in automation? Can you tell our audience that?
Yeah,
has there been big growth?
There's definitely been growth, but not enough. And I think if you listen to some of the keynote speeches that Tom makes, or the interviews that we do with him, or whether he does them in other publications and out in other digital areas, he's very, very proactive in wanting to get this automation message out. And I think even if we achieved great things, he'd still think there's more to go.
Two things. First, we chatted about this the other week, actually. Automation, we weren't even in the top 15 countries in the world with automation, which surprised me because we are one of the best engineering industry company in the world. We really are.
Well, I reckon there's going to be about 20 integrators, facilitators, whatever you want to call them at this event, that are going to come from all different walks of life, from companies that do the metrology, the measurement, packing, stacking systems, metal cutting, whatever it might be, just robotics picking, robotic welding, all of the elements where automation can be added. And when we were there and they did the event, I think it was 2018, the last one, it might be in 2019, it attracted around about 1,000 people. And I believe that this will do the same again. And from your question, Colin, Monday and Friday are kind of like floating days where people are welcome to come and see the technologies. But Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday are the key days where all day on each one of those days, we're going to be streaming live panel discussions, keynote speakers, and these are some pretty high profile individuals that are going to be there talking about, their experience of automation, what their companies have achieved since they've been automating, and of course there'll be question and answer. But we're going to be doing that all live on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Question: why do you think UK hasn't adopted automation as much as other countries?
I just think it's been I'm sure if you ask Tom, that's a good question to ask him that at the event. But I think there's probably
Well, sorry, but I was in with Martin Page yesterday at Hydrofeed, and kind of obviously it's a complete automation company. That's all they supply, and he's seen a massive spike not only in the bar feeders but in the robo job sales too, the robotic sales. So I do believe, from what I can see with my own eyes, the automation is certainly started to get adopted. I think we're on that path now.
I think one of the reasons we wouldn't have been on it is because what has happened in the past 2 decades is a lot of work's gone over to these countries that have taken on low-cost labour and automation. So we've specialised more in the high precision, lower volume environment where automation wasn't necessarily considered to be that impactful, whereas now we realise that it is. It doesn't matter what the volumes are you're doing, automation has to be.
Also, Paul, just sorry to. Are we counting like horizontals as automation? Are we counting bar feeders as automation? And are these figures based in just the CNC cutting industry that we're heavily involved in? Or is it generalistic across
the numbers that you're talking is robotics in general?
Yeah,
right. It's just
figures I quoted were from 2019, but it was robots in general. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
but I think what you'll see, the biggest thing for me, we were there on a planning meeting, and it is going to be. I'm really looking forward to it, and it's going to be an event that everybody listening to this needs to get in their diary. It's the 1st of November through to the 5th at FANUC UK's headquarters. So coming up shortly, we're going to talk about Colin, your visit to Monard. But in the meantime, I'm just going to talk to you about the week in review, where we're going to discuss all of the videos that are featured and have been the most popular across our channels this week. I've got a couple of quiz questions for you at the end as well, which will because we all know the Premier League starts tonight.
You've been a libertine.
Arsenal taking on Brentford, so we're going to be talking a little bit
first
about
loss of the season for Arsenal then.
Your first game of the season. I'm not sure it'll be a loss. Okay, so week in review this week. Our top 5 videos on the MTDCNC channel, which you should really watch amongst other stuff. Number 5 is a video from FT Gearing that I did with Jason Butler, where we walked around the whole of the FT Gearing's factory. I know we've done a lot of videos at FT Gearing, but if you haven't been there and you're watching or listening to this, they have the most immaculate shop floor I've ever seen. It's branded in orange and black like the Mazak colours, full of Mazak machines. They've got Integrex machines. And well, the video was walking through them starting with a 2-axis lathe back in the 90s, right the way through to now having a sub-spindle tool changing machine. Really good video that. Video number 4, Gio, you were involved in this, the video that we did at ProDrive. This is our fourth best watched video this week on MTDCNC. If you want to learn about ProDrive, or you want to have a sneak preview of what is inside ProDrive, then this video is worth a watch. But the main driver for this particular feature was the fact that ProDrive?
No, please move on.
Was
very,
that
very
Colchester Machine Tool Solutions are now using ProDrive as their Midlands showroom. So that's a good video to watch. Number 3, Gio, of our third best watched video this week is the Haas Automation Cell, which we did at Superstar Components. So had some good coverage from Superstar Components over the recent weeks. And if you wanted to see, I mean, this to me is what you might not know Haas for. This is a gantry loading automation solution on a turning centre, very, very competitively priced and doing a terrific job at Superstar Components. So that's number 3 in the charts. Number 2 is the Colchester VMC deal that me and you, it seems to be a lot of me and you featuring in this week, Jay. How come you ain't got yours in there, Colin? What
they're obviously not very popular.
Yeah. So number 2,
that's a bit harsh on myself.
Colchester VMC deal, £60,000. We covered the Storm machine while we were at ProDrive. They have a vertical machining centre in stock, 60k, 10k spindle, 24 station ATC, a meter in the X, FANUC control. A popular seller for them, just £60,000. That was video number 2. Guess what was video number 1?
It was one of mine, wasn't it?
No.
Oh.
It was the video I actually did at XYZ of the Subspindle SS65, which had a whopping 8,000 plus views across our channel in the last 7 days.
That's the new machine to XYZ.
Brand new machine, Subspindle machine. We talked about it last week on the show. New Subspindle lathe to XYZ. It's been really well received, that video has, and I think they're going to do exceptionally well with the 2 machines there in stock.
I've got something for you. I know why my videos haven't showcased on that list.
What's that?
Because, in all seriousness, I've spent the last 4 weeks sorting out my Swarf Talks number 2,
we'll,
slider special.
We'll come on to that shortly.
Okay.
So continuing on the week in review. Also on the channel this week, we've had news stories from Chiron. They're going to present their new Micro 5 compact machining centre at EMO. Of course, EMO is just around the corner, running from the 4th of October, I think, through to the 9th or 10th of October. We've also had stories on the website about Leader Chuck and their new, or their collaboration with Cucci Giovanni. Gio, this is not
Cookie
Giovanni.
Giovanni.
Cookie Giovanni.
Yeah,
this has nothing to do with you.
Multi-spindle bar feed.
Multi-spindle bar feed. What's interesting about that story is they go up to 120mm bar diameter on some of their bar feeds. Which,
big
would you really bar feed 120mm bar? That's a big old bar, isn't it?
Might be kind of...
Are you worried about picking it up? Because I have no problems there.
That's a big old bar. You imagine 3 metres of that length.
It could be kind of hollow inside there. It could be tube.
Could be tube.
But they go up to 3 metres. I think they go up to 6 metres as well.
Really?
So big amount of bar there.
So if you want to learn about bar feeds and see what leaders
see that, I hope to see those at EMU as well. EMO.
Yeah. So that's on the website. Also, a story from Mazak about an installation at Kincardine Manufacturing Services, who've just taken delivery of a Slot 550M turning centre, all part of their post-COVID business resilience strategy. There's also a good story, which I'm sure you must have read, Colin, from Fastems about KP Components working with Lee Tricklebank. Good to see some activity from Fastems on the MTDCNC website.
That's some of the stuff they do. And the setup, I'm trying to remember how long, it was a real quick turnaround in terms of getting it in the machine shop up and running. Absolutely brilliant.
I always think the Fastems solution is something that we should see a lot more of, and I'm sure we will in the future. Their flexible manufacturing systems really do offer that ability to just run unmanned for long periods of time, but not just on those high volumes as we always talk about. Also stories from Sandvik about a move or a new building being built in Halesowen. And of course, this week as well, Gio, the podcast was from Haas, which was a really good podcast. I listened to that. James was such an eloquent speaker, isn't he, on the podcast to learn about the F1 and all of the different facets of Haas. We also had videos on the website from Korea at Blue Diamond. We had some news from Leader CNC on one of their new sliding head nano machines. And of course, Prima Power were once again on our website with their additive manufacturing machine. And last, before I take a breath, LK Metrology and Hoffman Geo. We had some good stories on there from you. So lots on the MTDCNC website. Lots happened on the website this week and our YouTube channel. We've recorded 244,000 impressions across the channel this week. Slightly down on last week, but we are in holiday season. So
200,
still
quarter of a million.
Well, no, just under.
Good math. You didn't get just under level, did you?
just under 250,000 impressions across our channel. So it's a really good statistic. Colin, moving on to you, Monard Precision. You were there, and I know you want to talk about your Swarf talk, and we'll come back to that in a minute.
That's fine.
Monard Precision.
Legends in engineering, that's what I will say. Martin and the team there, absolutely brilliant. They do love a Doosan machine, they really do. Mills and lathes, but some of the parts they make, I mean, they've got a 3+1 machine, but some of the parts they're making are absolutely fantastic. They really are.
And do you know where their journey with Doosan began?
In Rugby, because that's where they're based.
Yeah. But do you know when?
When?
How?
No, go on, Paul. No. Can we move on swiftly? I know what's going to happen here.
Martin Holloway bought a Daewoo Minx 540 from me back in 2003.
He mentioned that. He said it got tucked right up.
We had to squeeze it in. The company was Edgefine then, and we had to squeeze it in. And I'll never forget this. We were there measuring up before we placed the order. And we did manage to get it in. And it
did
was
you use one of those special tape measures?
Yeah,
that'll go. That's fine. The Paul Jones tape measure special. Yeah, don't worry about it. That'll go.
It did go in. And I'm not quite sure how the Edgefine and Monard thing worked out and what's happened there. But obviously, it sounds like they're.
I don't want to be complimentary to you, Paul, so I won't. So moving on quickly. No, but the fact they're still using, he absolutely loves to do some machines. He really does. So he's got, I can't remember the exact names, but 2 fixed heads, two mills, 1 3+1. Making some fantastic components, really, really are. So it's a great testament to you.
They're quite an advocate of flexible work holding as well, aren't they? Which
when you say flexible, the microlock system.
The microlock system,
absolutely. You know, I tell you what, absolutely loves it.
But he doesn't seem to be doing. This is good because he doesn't seem to be doing high volumes either, really, does he?
They don't. They concentrate on low volume work. They don't want to. I said to him, I mean, there was one part. I said, this is a sliding head part all day, every day, because of my knowledge of sliders, of course. He goes, yeah, but not the volumes we do, mate. Absolutely don't need to. On the fixed head, nice and simple. And then the micro-lock system, they got these components, and I'm trying to think what they were. They were green. I can't, that's helpful, isn't it? He said, we load it up overnight, 15 of them on the micro-lock system. Next morning, they've all fallen off. No, I'm joking. Matt will have a meltdown. Matt from micro-lock will have a meltdown. It absolutely raves out it. Flexibility, they can have one big component, 15 small components. It just gives them that.
Well, I actually witnessed, and I know we've done lots of demonstrations with that system saying how you can go from lots of small parts to a large plate. When I was actually there some time ago, I was there with Chloe. We were looking at them, and the guy was actually doing exactly what we had said the system could do. And sometimes it doesn't quite work out like that. But we were there, and you could see him taking off a lot of these smaller parts. What are you putting on next? And he says, "Oh, well, this big block here, so I've got to just take these locators off." And he was literally going from a lot of small components to a bigger one. Pretty quickly like that.
Some of the parts they do, though, I mean, they're doing it for high end. They do a lot of automotive. They do F1, high-end automotive, electric vehicles, things like that. Absolutely brilliant stuff they do there.
So, and he's busy. He's doing well, is he?
He is doing very, very well. Yeah,
it's good to hear from Martin.
But he doesn't want you to cross his door again.
Does he want another Daewoo machine?
He said he probably couldn't fit that one in.
Yeah, he says right. Don't never wants Paul to visit again because every time he visits, he ends up spending money.
Okay, let's talk about some of the other channels across MTD and what they've been up to this week, and we'll start with your Swarf, Colin, your sliding head special. This is a must-watch, isn't it, for turn part manufacturers?
If you think you know about sliding head, you don't. It's as simple as that. You will do after this show. It has taken, honestly, I've devoted the last 4 to 6 weeks of my life to this show. Mm-hmm. I've been down to Brighton to see, Hanoirs at Dugard, Citizen to see their synchron machines, Star. I traumatised poor old Alec, but I've put them, tell me about all these sliding heads and all the different axes, what sort of parts you make, what's the smallest diameter.
He said there was a few takes.
Yeah, only because he kept messing it up. No, I'll tell you what, Alec was brilliant. Actually, Martin from Hydrofeed, brilliant. Colin Thompson from Dugard, he said, previously, you struggled to get him on camera. He just doesn't want to do it, And people do get nervous. I understand that. We got him on camera. He was, excuse my French, he was bloody brilliant. He really was.
Yeah.
He was excellent.
I watched the show last night, Colin, and I've got to say, I thought it was superb. You've got from a visual perspective, from an educational perspective. I love the starting bit where you're in the classroom environment and you're talking through the history of the sliding head machines.
Yes.
It doesn't really suit you, to be honest. But I've got to say, I thought you did a terrific job. And I think the biggest point for people that are thinking, should I watch it? There's a lot of information in there that you'll think you might know, but there's lots of things that you go, actually, do you know what? That could really be relevant to me and could help me out.
Well, that's a classic, because the guide bush, non-guide bush, you thought you knew, and we got you on camera from many years ago, and Lindsay said to you, what's the difference between guide bush, non-guide bush? And you, well, he says, I don't know. So that's an absolute classic.
Can we cut that bit out?
Yeah, can't cut that. But no, that's a classic, you're so used to all these different engineering techniques and things like that, and then when you actually say, well, actually, what does that mean? You go, I don't really know. So,
well, I just think this is the part of these Swarf Talk episodes that we're doing is to really focus in on specific topics and give as much information as we can to inform people of what is available to
them. Okay, I'm going to ask, did you learn anything from my tutorial in the classroom?
I did. Yeah, I did. I learned about I like the thing about the plate machine, the fact that the plate was where it all began, and then of course, there was a lot of good stuff in there, Colin. So
that was my question. I was going to say, because there's three names for sliders. Yeah. So you've got slider, obviously, your Swiss type, and
your plate machine.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
Don't give too much away though. So you need to you need to go to the YouTube channel to watch that, the MTDCNC YouTube channel, or you can go to the Swarf and Chips .tv website to watch that. We're also still doing our 10-minute topics, and today the 10-minute topic is a mini engine from A&M Engineering in the West Midlands.
When you say
it's all about an engine for a mini being created for a sports mini. I've not been there, but Lindsay did this one, and I'm told that this engine is pretty revolutionary. It's going to be extremely quick, and Ian's going down to film the car in action as well a week on Sunday at Brands Hatch.
Just to clarify,
it's how he makes the engine, the machines he makes it on, and that's our 10-minute topic today.
But Carver, just to clarify, he used to film autosport, didn't he? He absolutely don't ever take him on a job where cars are involved, because you can turn a 1 hour job into 10 hours.
Yes. Okay, so now I want to talk about buy now, pay later.
Hey.
Now, if you were buying a machine at the moment, wouldn't it be great to be able to think that you could have a machine hit the deck and not have to fund or part with any money, depending on obviously the terms agreed between you and the supplier, not have to put any money down for maybe 6 months or maybe even longer than that and get machining out of it? Is that a compelling reason to buy, Gio?
Yeah, 100%. I think that, if you can start earning money before you have to spend money, it looks after your cash flow. It's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? As long as you've got the work that warrants the machine being in your facility and it's not just going to stand idle, then it's a no-brainer.
Well, that's a chicken egg, because sometimes these guys, and a classic one I think was Paul at Rotec. He bought them. I think he'd been applied with a few drinks by Mr. Doyle from ETG, but he bought the machine before he got the work. So sometimes it could be a chicken and egg scenario.
But
you need to make sure you've got the work.
Yeah,
No.
but it can put you in a great position, and this would be my point. I know what you mean, but I think where I'm going with this is Ward High Tech. We've done quite a few videos with them of recent months where they've got these buy now, pay later deals, tremendously flexible in the finance that they can offer because they do it all themselves in-house. They've got Dali, Huachon, Kihung machines, SFM machines, and that's the turning side as opposed to the milling side. But if you want a machine tool and you're worried about, whether you're going to have the work coming through the factory or whether things are going to change, if you can have that machine in your shop, it gives you the opportunity, even if you haven't necessarily got the right work to fill it, to go out and sell that capacity, to be able to get on your feet. So I do think that these sorts of schemes, and I'd encourage you to visit Ward High Tech's website, wardhightech.co.uk, to see the exact machines that they have got in stock. But it's a big push for them at the moment. They have got stock machines, which some of our customers are struggling with because of, imports and all the rest of it. But if it's a VMC, if it's a 5-axis, if it's a turning centre, if it's a flatbed oil country lathe, a vertical lathe, all of these machines are available from Ward High Tech. And it might be you just transition your business. You go, do you know what? I'm actually going to go into a different discipline of machining, and I can do that with this buy now, pay later scheme. So
it's a brilliant scheme. I mean, I know AM Hydraulics have just invested in a big machine from Ward High Tech.
Yeah,
that should be arriving soon.
Yeah, and I think Cook's actually he took them up on this particular
yeah.
deal. So if you wanna, if you're interested in a machine, you're a little bit apprehensive, then as I say, part of our promotional work on MTDCNC this week has been talking about these buy now, pay later schemes from Ward High Tech, still running even after all the Seaballs and the bounce back stuff finished some time ago. So that's it for MTDCNC this week. Obviously, it's the MFG channel. Always keep tuned to that channel to find out exactly what's happening in the world of manufacturing. I know Joe was on with Michelle Dewsbury again this week.
Is he still
on
allowed on
Tuesday.
TV?
He was on again this week with Michelle. I believe he's had an invite actually down to the studio for GB News. How many tens of thousands of people do you think watch that?
100,000.
Yeah, you're not far off. Just over, about 120,000.
There you go.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was 250,000 before Joe started.
yeah. The
But
audience.
did he go on as the IT specialist as well this week?
No, I think he was there specifically as the manufacturing specialist. But he isn't really that either, is he? So I mean, whether it be IT,
we thought
manufacturing,
it, you said it.
yeah. So yeah, you can always find the latest news from manufacturing on the MFG channel. I know there has been some good stories there this week from Rolls-Royce and of course other big companies. I spoke to Tony this week on the global side. Did you know that Tony and his wife have both had COVID?
Yes. Well, I knew Tony did.
Oh really? Yeah. His wife both had the Delta variant. Both had a dose of the Delta variant. His wife was quite poorly actually, but he recovered quite quickly.
Did he give it to her?
He's been. I'm not sure of the. I think it came. I'm not 100% certain, but what I can tell you is if you haven't seen a lot on Tony's social of him being out and about in the last 2 weeks, it's because he's obviously.
Oh, I thought he was
he's
just
been
having a
ill
break.
and he's been in quarantine.
Because he's an absolute machine, that guy, in terms of
But he's released from quarantine, I think, as of yesterday or the day before. So he's back on a flight next week up to New York, covering stories for Matsura and Factory Whiz, I believe. So, but there is some great stories from him that have just come to the MTDCNC channel about a BBT30 FANUC robo drill cut in titanium. A real interesting story about the success of a vertical machining centre user over to horizontal and how he got a return on investment in just.
Can I just reiterate that?
months.
You said BBT30 or BT30?
BBT30 spindle, cutting titanium, a FANUC robo drill, something we're hearing a lot about now, people pushing these robo drills to the limits.
Small footprint with the carousel tool, just so I can... And people look at that and think that's not going to have a lot of power to cut big cuts.
But
like
it
that.
can. It does.
Wow.
It does everything that you would expect. In some instances, a BT40 machine to do. Gio, highlights from this week?
I think there's been loads, Paul. To be honest, it's been quite a busy week. Been to Tame Work Holding, having a look at a new invention from there. That'll be in September's Swarf Talk show. So people can watch that. We went to Microlock Work Holding and seen Matt and caught up with him. He's definitely bulking up. And
I didn't have that on my list.
He's kind of definitely been to the gym or doing something. But it was lovely to catch up with Matt. And
steroids.
Must be.
Well,
he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Bless you.
His politics are like his as
What
well.
you want to do is go through on our MTD page, go to supplies, go to Microlock and look at the videos. Start from the oldest one and see how yes. It's a protein shake, to say no more.
But he had some cracking solutions on the machines. So it was great to be able to see him. And they'll be on the show in September.
Really good business that they do really well at Microlock, and obviously we've mentioned them in the show. Colin, any highlights from this week?
Only doing a podcast with you, Paul. Your gags are phenomenal, and being called a libertine, I'm quite complimented by it. It was a libertine, wasn't it?
Well, it was a libertine, yeah. Now. Couple of questions for you. Now, we all know the Premier League starts back tonight. Arsenal are playing Brentford in the first game of the season. I can't wait to see that. But I was while I was doing my 10k jog this morning, and then
I'll do a bit.
I was listening to TalkSport, and a couple of questions or a couple of facts they came out with. Do you know who has scored the most headers in the Premier League?
In the Premier League,
as
in since it started in the late 90s?
Since 1991 when it started. Who scored the most headers and how many?
I'd like to say Mickey Harford, but I don't think he was in the Premier League.
That would be Division 4, wouldn't it?
Oh no, don't be so brutal.
Yes,
I know. I do know this. But I just want to clarify one thing. That 10k run, when we were off filming, it was actually a 5k run, just to clarify. But Olivier Giroud, 28.
I'll go. I know this might be a bit crazy, but would it be Ronaldo? He was good with his head at Man United, and or someone, I don't know.
No, it was Harry Kane, 53.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, he scored 53 headers in the Premier League. And which team?
No.
Yeah, seriously, which team in the Premier League has lost more games than anybody else since
Arsenal.
its existence?
No.
Who would that be?
Coventry.
Nope.
Aston Villa.
No, it's West Ham.
West Ham.
Yeah.
Because Coventry were in the Premier League.
They were, but not for long. So, yeah, a couple of interesting facts there picked up. But, yeah, Arsenal kicking off the Premier League tonight. Looking forward to watching.
Can we predict the scores?
I think it will be 4-1 to Arsenal, I would imagine.
Gio?
I reckon it's going to be a good win for Arsenal. I reckon maybe 2 or 3-0.
I'm going 2-1 Brentford.
Yeah, I think that.
Do you think so?
Yeah. We lost.
Well, this first time there's going to be crowds there, so I'm not sure the capacity of the stadium, but I know it's quite a small one, so they'll have a lot of close proximity to the pitch. That's it for this week, guys. I'm off to Portugal next week as well, so
who are you filming there?
Not sure who wants my chair, but I'll be back on Friday the 3rd of September. So potentially Gio or Colin will be hosting this. Who knows next week?
I'm on holiday.
You're on holiday as well. Where are you going, Gio?
Well, I'm taking the kids to a cottage beginning of the week, and then I've got an event on with Amore the end of the week. So it's a bit of a hybrid of holiday and
so
work.
leave in the cottage on your own.
So it might be Colin on his own then. Who knows?
No, I'm going on holiday now. I've just decided I'm not doing this freaking thing.
So who knows? Keep tuned. We will either be back next week or we will be back in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time. But that's it for this week's On the Road with MTDCNC. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.